sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. One of the first things I tell my clients when we start working together, and also do this at talks that I've been doing a lot more of lately, is if you hear me say something that you know isn't true or doesn't match your worldview, and you want to know where the hell I came up with that, I encourage people to call bullshit on me. Here's what that sounds like, right? Walker says something ridiculous, something they don't believe in, and they raise their hand or just announce bullshit. And then I want the rest of the audience or the rest of the team to clap because somebody had the guts to call bullshit on me. Admission, I'm no guru. I don't know everything. I'm learning just like y'all are. Hopefully, I'm studying a process and refining a process to help people get better. But shit, sometimes I get things wrong. And I want people to know that it's okay calling bullshit on me. I've seen so many of these gurus that get defensive when somebody says, that's not true. And then they just spat all this bullshit out in the world. Anyway, so here's what happened. Somebody called bullshit on me. I did a podcast about a week ago that was about why accountability matters and why sales managers need to hold salespeople accountable and why the best salespeople love accountability. They crave it. But here's what I said. I said that what you need to do is the most important thing, and I may agree with this, is behavior. And if you're not getting the results you want, do more behavior. Well, I got to tell you, somebody said, Walker, more of shit is not going to get you where you want to go. And I was like, duh, you're right. I teach that. Right? And so let's talk about the 3 pieces to success that go beyond or include behavior, but it's not just behavior. So I divide success into things you have to do for success into 3 different boxes. Box number 1, activity, right? And there are 3 pieces to the activity box or triangle, as we say, right? Piece number 1 is what are your goals and vision? Why are you doing this hard work? Why would you be willing to put yourself out there to prospect for new business, to prospect to get rejection, to get your ass kicked all the time, right? Oftentimes, and it should be, because there's a higher thing that we want. What we want is more important than what we have to do to get it, right? It's called motivation. So I tell people let's dig deep and find out why in the world you would do the extra work, make the calls to people that maybe don't want to hear from you, that are going to reject you. Why would you do that? You've got to have a very strong why. Goals written down, important, that matter to you, that you give a shit about. This is more than the boss says I need to do $1 million. This is why Walker cares. And Walker can probably do more than whatever they set for me if I really want to make something, if I want to have something happen for me, right? Goals, vision, first and most important thing. Second part is what's your plan? How are you going to get there? How are you going to make the goals and vision happen? So maybe you break this down on a quarterly, annual, or semi-annual basis, right? What type of clients do I need to have? How much revenue would I get from those? And so I know, here's my plan. I need to close 5 companies that can give me this much revenue in the next 6 months. And if I do that, that will get me where I need to go, where I'm trying to get to, right? And so I have a clear defined, I'm looking at my deer. We've talked about that before. Squirrels, deer, and elephants, the ideal prospect right in the middle. Here are the 5 deer I need to get. And maybe I need to expand 2 of my existing clients to take on more business there. But that's my plan. And I know if I follow the plan, the numbers work and I can help move towards my vision or goal. The last piece of activity is the action, which is what I talked about in the last podcast. It's you look at your calendar on Sunday and you look out Monday through Friday and you have it planned out exactly the behaviors you need to be doing. I'm going to make 75 phone calls a day. I'm going to go to 3 networking events, at which time when I go there, I'm going to find 2 people I can call about business in the next 48 hours after I go there. I'm going to ask 2 of my clients for referrals. Okay, that might be my behavior plan for that week. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, and then that week I execute that plan. That's the activity part of success. Takes all 3 to make that work. Why are you doing it? How are you going to do it? And what are the things on a daily, weekly basis you have to do to make the plan work, to make your goals happen? Okay, that's first part. Second part is your attitude. What do you believe? All of us have a story we tell ourselves about how the world works. Often these are self-limiting beliefs. They're things that we tell ourselves about who we are, what we deserve, what ought to happen to us, what our probable trajectory is going to be. A lot of time we base this on who our parents are, who other people we hang out with, who they're becoming. We see ourselves as an average of the 5 closest people we hang around with. That's how we often measure ourselves. This is why if one of the 5 people you hang around with is reading, one of the 5, if you are reading biographies of people who've done great things, if you're inhaling information from somebody who is higher than you, who's trying to help you go, from a coach or whatever, to try and help you change your story, that is what matters. If you're hanging around with a bunch of people that are making $60,000 a year and they figure they're going to retire when they're 65 and they're kind of done, that's where you're going to see normal is. If you're hanging around with people that see making $1 million, $2 million a year, $5 million a year is normal, that's where you will go. That's what you'll begin to see as normal. If you're hanging around people with good family habits, good habits in their life, that's what you'll see as normal. And the opposite is also true. Hanging around a bunch of people smoking dope, breaking the law, doing dumb shit, you're going to see that as normal. So what is the story you tell yourself, about your value, and what happens, right? Where you're supposed to go. That's hugely important. The second part is, what is your belief about your company? Do you believe that that's the proper vehicle to get you where you want to go? We make a lot of excuses about our company. Oh, our prices are too high. My boss is an idiot. We don't really match in this marketplace, right? We make excuses about ourselves. Well, I can't call on that person because he's too important. Or make excuses about our company, which is, they suck. We don't have the right products. Our stuff is too expensive. We don't do the right things. Our service sucks, right? Excuses. And the last thing is we make excuses about our marketplace. Oh, I've got a terrible territory, or the economy is killing me right now. Nobody can sell in this economy. We're all going to go down. Joe Biden's ruining my world. Blah, 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 blah. Excuses. You can be doing lots of behavior, but if you don't believe you deserve success, or you can find excuses that you are making about your current situation to let you off the hook, guess what? You can do all the damn behavior in the world and it won't help you. The last piece, right, is your approach. What are you doing, right? How are you getting in front of people? So the first thing, the most important thing, or the top thing about approach is, what is your strategy? What's your go-to-market strategy? How are you getting in front of people? Is that social media? Are you getting inbound leads? Are you going to networking events? Are you cold calling people? Are you doing referrals? All these things, right? And there's probably some combination of those things. It ought to be at least 3 of those that you're doing on a regular basis. This is my strategy for getting in front of people. I'm going to use my strategic alliances. I'm going to do all these things, right? Here's what my strategy is for doing that. The second part is, what's the system? What's the sales process you're following? How good are you at that? How strong is that process at disqualifying those people that aren't ready for you yet? They just want a price. They just want to shop around. They're looking for a check number, or maybe they're interested, but they're not ready to do anything yet. How good are you at following a sales process that helps you get to the truth quickly, right? So let's pretend You're a client of mine already. You know the no BS sales system. You're following through the 7 steps. You get it intellectually, but you can't make it come out of your mouth. Oof, got to work on that, right? Got to work on that. Got to work on actually using this stuff. And know the great thing about a process, and especially the no BS sales process, is it's something that you can iterate. You can learn from. You can always tighten up and do it better. Go back and look at where we screwed up the last deal and say, shit, we can point to exactly the place that we missed, the place that we skipped, or the place that we did a weak effort on, right? And go, shit, I got to do better than that next time. My favorite quotes, you never drown from falling in the water. You drown from failing to get out, right? It's the system. If you follow the system will work. If you're letting go of the system or you're being wishy-washy with the system, fix it. That's the great part. It's hard to fix your personality if you're selling based on personality, but if you're following a process, you can always go in and tighten the process. The last thing are the tactics. Your reversing, your questioning strategies, how well you set up your opening agreement, right? How do you respond to certain objections or difficult things? How do you respond to those? How do you handle those things? Those are the tactics. It's funny, most people, they're looking for the shortcut. And what they care about in the economy is, give me some tips on how to close better. Give me some tips on how to do this or that. And, tips are fine, but tips aren't going to help you. First of all, you got to have desire to make things happen. You got to have a plan, and you got to have behavior that you're doing on a daily and weekly basis. Then you got to get your head right and eliminate excuses. And then you've got to get to your strategy. Make sure that's working. Make sure that's the right one. Make sure that's nimble and you can change it if things aren't working for you. Always have 3 ways you're going out to get new business at least. Then your system, and then your tactics. All those things matter for success. Look, we are taking on new clients in the fall. There are a lot of you guys are saying, oh shit, I'm 7 months into my year. I'm almost 8 months into my year, and it's time that I tighten things up. I got to do something so things don't turn out exactly the same as they have year after year. If you know somebody that's feeling that way, share this podcast with them. At least it gives them an idea of the things they need to work on. Follow me on LinkedIn. I post shit all the time. Ideas, tips, some shit that's wrong. Apparently, please feel free to call bullshit on it like somebody did on me last week. Follow me on LinkedIn. Comment on the things. Let's get conversations going. Let's let people know that there's good shit out there. It's not just rah-rah motivational crap that I don't want to have any interest in. Last thing, if you're sitting here wondering, man, I know he's telling the truth. I've heard his podcast for a while. This sounds like something I want, but you've never had the guts to reach out and have a conversation. What I would tell you is send me a DM on LinkedIn. Email me, walker@walkermckay.com. Let's have a quick conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean you would hire me. Doesn't mean I'd take you as a client. But are you willing, are you gutsy enough to have a conversation with me about what's going on in your world? Maybe I can offer some suggestions. Maybe there's something that we can do together that can help you break through whatever barrier you're having. Thanks for listening. Share this with others. Go get them. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you haven't already, please take 1 minute to write a quick review for the show. It really does make a huge difference. Also, subscribe to the show and please forward this episode to somebody else who needs to hear it. As a bonus for listening, I'm going to give you access to a free mini course, 7 expensive sales mistakes you're making and what you can do about it. Go to www.7salesmistakes.com and get access to the free mini course. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.